Hello, my name is Andrew and welcome to my process video as to how I go from something that looks like this and eventually I end up something that looks like this. Now there's a lot that goes into this, which I may or may not have realized up until I started opening up all the programs that I go through in order to make these. So we'll start from the beginning here. So I always start, of course, I have to go out and I have to do a physical shoot. And in this instance, I went out on Halloween with my friend and we did a cosplay shoot. So this is my friend here. He was a Jedi. And this is the beginning picture. Now as you can see, I have it set as before. So I have all of my Lightroom settings in here for how I adjusted this photo. And so I'm not going to take you through everything I did for this. I do use presets, but my presets are more to get a color palette for what I like and kind of like visual style of what I like. And then I always go through and I change every single setting for the most part. Very rarely will I get something with a preset where I'm like, this is perfect. Highly recommend to use presets. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to go to the after. This is the before, and this is after everything I have done in Lightroom. And now there's a couple parts about this that I didn't particularly like. I didn't like that there was this kind of uneven section here where that he was clearly on a sidewalk, but it doesn't visually, it kind of takes away. I wanted it to seem like this whole bottom part was kind of concrete and more industrial. And so I wanted to flare it up a little bit. So I usually bring it into Photoshop. And in Photoshop, I will add a couple more tweaks. And so here you can kind of see I added kind of a dramatic lens flare and some like cinders coming up from underneath. Kind of reminiscent of when Obi-Wan was fighting Anakin on that, excuse my ignorance, the lava planet. So yeah, I got that feel. I removed the part here so it looks more industrial. There's no gap in the grass here. And so from here, what I do is then I take this photo and I move it over into Photoshop. So let me open up Photoshop. And this is what we have, what it will end up looking like. So what I have to do, the border will be last, so we'll get back to that. I need to make this because I really liked this photo and I wanted it to be an animation. So in order to animate this without it looking super janky, because as you can see if I zoom in, his arms are not detached from his body. He is one mass. So if I were to animate this, I would either have to cut unnatural little shape things out of his arm here, so that way his arms could move. I could probably get away with moving the lightsaber by itself, but when you have it looking on all like a solid form, the way I animate it makes it look all Gumby and gelatin-like, which we do not want. So what I end up having to do is, see there's my lens flare and my sparks. I will undo everything. So we have the base image. And I have these two sections that are do not move. So these are ones that I will not animate, but they need to be there. So this is my masking or my clone stamping behind, because these are the parts I want to animate, and I don't want to animate into clear background. So I have to paint in everything behind where I'm going to be animating. And then this is his arm, little sleeve section there. And so I have his lightsaber in his arm. So as you can see, the section that I've kind of taken from there, I am able to, the access point's going to be up here, but as you can see, like, it will be able to move without really looking like it's unnatural. And then I have his arm here, which I'm planning on adding a little flutter to, which I've noted. His head. Let's see, what did I do for the head? I think I may have just added some extra layers up there in order to add some motion flow to it. His cloak, because I want his cloak to be all wavy. And then, of course, the filters. or not the filters, but the atmospheric effects to make it a little more cinematic. And then something I want to do, because this is for my NFT series, which there'll be a little more on that later, I created a border. And now this is made from hand, or made from scratch. I don't know if it's considered by hand. It's through a computer, of course. And so this is created in Adobe Illustrator. And how I go about doing this is I kind of look up influence, or I want there to be something unique about the border. I don't want it to just be there to look cool. Of course it needs to look cool, but it needs to serve a purpose. And I like kind of having little Easter eggs. This isn't a very hidden Easter egg. It's kind of in your face, but I think it looks cool nonetheless. So what I did was I just came up with this simplistic border design here, all the elements that I made, and I took components of the Jedi symbol, broke it up, and then as well as the Scarlet Witch symbol. And then I implemented that and created the four corners, and I wanted to add kind of a shininess to this, to not have it just be a solid border like this, which I think still looks cool, but I like the kind of foil glowing red effect, and it fits the story. Yeah, so there's just a gold foil under here. It's masked using the this pattern here with a slight red glow to it, and then I just export that as a PNG. And then I resize it for thumbnails of the NFTs. And then what I do is I just pop it right here in Photoshop. So now all my layers are good to go. They are in order for me to take this Photoshop file and move them over into After Effects. I'm not going to bore you with all of the components here. There, of course, there's a bunch of, they're very basic, I would say, depending upon which part you go into. There's different keyframes in each section. But these are all my layers, and essentially, I just animate every section. And as you can see, let me zoom in for you. So I'm viewing this at a quarter resolution, so it doesn't melt my computer. So excuse the blurriness, but as you can see, you've got the flow of the cape without the clipping behind, since I painted all that out. And then the axis of the arm, you can see it's moving without disrupting the rest of his body, because it is physically moving behind his body. And then the same thing is with the flow of his cape and his little, it's like little head jiggle. It didn't do too much. But yeah, so that is my process as to how I got to this end result. So what this is a part of is my NFT series that aligns with my story photos. I have a whole website that this will be featured on. I'll link it down below. It is a NFT website, so you will need a browser plugin in order to view it. I think that's pretty neat. It's fairly new, so I apologize for the inconvenience of needing that, but I figured I'd give it a shot. Why not have an NFT website for NFTs? So what I'm planning on doing is I have a series of story photos, and what those are, essentially, in a nutshell, is I love going out and taking pictures. I am a photographer. I also love telling stories and creating worlds in which I can tell them. What I've devised is, with my photography, I let my photography tell a story to me and create a story in my head that is inspired from the photo and not the other way around. So as I'm editing the photo, I come up with stories, and you can find these stories and read them online on my website. I also have a photography website that's completely separate where you can buy physical prints. I'll link that as well. And I love this idea and the creativity that it allows me to have, the creative freedom. Like anything is possible when I make these. I go into a photo shoot with no expectations or understanding of what could be created from it. I get a cool idea, like, hey, I think this will look cool. I come home and I edit it, and like, wow, what are these pictures saying to me? What are they telling me? And I let it all flow in my mind and formulate stories and backgrounds of characters and worlds and lore. I write it all down, and I come up with a story based on it. And I create that story and attach it to a photo or a series of photos. And at the end of that story, what I do is I will, if it's a single photo, I will turn it into an animation, which will then become an NFT. Or I will take one photo from the photo series and turn it into an animation, which will become an NFT. Not all of my NFTs will have a special border to them. It was kind of just an idea I had that add a little fun Easter egg and visual element. But it will not be in every NFT that I create. It's kind of just a fun thing for me to add on. So I like to call those more of a rarity, because that's extra work that goes into making them, which I do not have a ton of time. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you look forward to my future stories in photography. If you are not into NFTs or you're against them, there's absolutely no pressure to buy these. It's purely just a way to support myself in my craft. And I just hope you enjoy this and share it with your friends and family. And you look forward to my future projects. And I look forward to sharing those future projects with you. So thank you so much for watching this. I know this was a bit long. I really need to get better at storyboarding my videos. But, just put it out there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Have an amazing day.